So in this video, I am illustrating and testing Forti ADC application delivery controller that is configured for SSL offloading. So what that means is a couple of things. When a client in this setup that I have with Linux client, my puppy Linux client with a Pale Moon browser, when it hits an IP address, in this case 10.10.10.30, it's going to do an HTTPS. So when it hits HTTPS, the idea of offloading the SSL is that the server farm, which is back behind the load balancer, this is your load balancer, the server farm is not going to be used to encrypt and decrypt. So we're offloading the encryption and decryption to the load balancer. So the load balancer is going to receive the request on HTTPS, and it's going to send a request to the servers on HTTP. Now, for this to work in production, you would obviously need certificates for your domain. What I have done in this setup is I have configured one server, not both of them, one server with a self-signed certificate on Ubuntu. Not sing, but sign. So you can, there's a lot of documentation out there on how to do self-signing. So self-sign certificate, once you do a self-sign certificate, the certificate gets installed here on the server. I have two servers, Ubuntu server and Ubuntu desktop. So I did a self-sign on Ubuntu desktop, and once that certificate is available, which is going to be a what I called web cert or web server, I think. I called it web server CRT, and the key for it, I think I called it PVT dot key. So these two documents, or these two files, would appear as a result of self-signing. And you would not do that when you're going in production. You would get an actual certificate for your domain. Once you get these two files, you would copy these two files on the load balancer so that load balancer would offer these certificates to your client for the validity of the connection, HTTPS connection. So I tested this out with Forti ADC and Puppy Pale Moon browser because it's easier to see the certificate here. So here's my setup. I'm going to show you the portal now. So here's my puppy, and I am hitting 10.10.10.30 HTTPS, and it's load balancing. Okay. All right. And it's doing that on HTTPS, whereas the servers are getting hit with HTTP. Netstat TUC. I'll start showing you the established circuits or sessions. So I hit this, watch for the established sign. There it is, established on HTTP. Okay, look at the HTTP. So it's getting connected on HTTP. There it is, established HTTP. So the servers are getting hit by HTTP, and the request is coming HTTPS. So you're offloading it. For this to work in production, like I said, you gotta get the certificates, copy it on the ADC, and even publish it if you can to the clients. Now on the ADC, Forti ADC, it's very straightforward configuration. First thing that you will do is you're going to configure the real servers. So the real servers, these are previous ones that I was testing. I have 2 real servers. These are my 2 real servers. You got to make sure you got the health check going, ICMP. Looking good. That's about it. You add them with your IP addresses and you're hitting them on port 80. That's all you got to do. Okay. Once you're done with your real servers, then you go configure your virtual server, which is your VIP. Ignore these last 2. This is the one that I'm working on. And your virtual server is going to be hitting or coming through layer 7. And it's going to have this profile as your VIP address coming through 443 HTTPS, interface address 43. Your profile is HTTPS, that's important. And then your client-side SSL profile is client cert. So client cert is what you create, and it's pretty straightforward. I'll show you, it'll pop up once you create a couple of things. Those couple of things I'll show. Method is round robin and everything else is straightforward. So let's go back, and the client cert is going to be created managed certificate. First you create a group, server certs, and you add the certificate. So in this, if you have 2 servers, 10 servers, you can add the server certificates here. But in my case, it's just 1 certificate that I've added. 1 certificate. How do you add it? This is just a group. So what you do is go to local certificate, and then you add this guy. And the way to add that is you do create or import, and then you do manual import. All right, or unless you want to copy it separately. So what I did is I did ls, I've got two certs here, web server CRT, and then the private key. So what I did is I copied these files in my notepad by SSHing into it, and then I actually did SSH from the web server, the ADC controller by itself. So what I did was I did SSH ASAT 10.4.4. into the server. This one is 10. Execute SSH ASAT 10.4.4.10. And then what I did is I did more web cert, and I just copied this into a notepad. Just did the same thing for private key. Sudo more private key, and you'll see this. And to avoid the more, you just go less. I'll give you the entire thing. You still have to copy and delete this this portion so that it comes on the line, right? Or just press spacebar and it'll give you the whole thing as it is. All right, so you copy these two files and then paste it in your notepad first, and then from there you paste it here, certificate and the key, and you get server certificate 1. If you do both, then it's going to be a second certificate, and then add it to a local group. I've got one. Once you do that, it is going to be available on the virtual servers client cert part. When you do create, you'll see that this is going to be available. Okay, so that's all you got to do, and this would get your SSL offloading working with certs, self-signed certs. And once you copy this and have this VIP associated with the cert, what will happen is this guy's going to hit on this VIP, and look at the cert. The certs, last two digits are characters are FA, equal to. So that is what local certificate. And the serial number is this. The serial number is F7. So when you go to the client and you hit it, this one is without the certificate. This one is. Sometimes it just caches it. This one is with the certificate. So if you go to Tools, Preferences, Advanced, Certificates, View Certificate, and then you'll see that 30 is right here. That's your server certificate. I was trying to view it, but it doesn't show. But at least it shows that on this VIP, it's on 443. Initially, it's going to give you a exception because it's not a populated sign by CA authorities. It's a self-signed one, but once you add the exception, it would install it and then it would work. But you have to make sure that time matches on the client, the ADC, as well as the server. If the time doesn't match, this is not going to work. So that is all I did to test out Forti ADC SSL offloading with self-signed certificates. Hope this helps.